what kind of movies are you interested in? Do you like horror? Do you like independent horror?
Funnily enough, horror are my least favourite movies, but I loved Black Daruma because it was like a dark comedy horror, which I wasn't expecting. But no, horrors give me the creeps. Oh God, if I watch one of those, I have nightmares all night. So that's my least favourite movie. My favourites, I'm hooked. I think COVID is partly responsible for this, but I'm hooked on like detective movies or series where it's like a bit of a who did it, or the viewer knows who's done it. And I enjoy trying to suss it out or seeing if the detective can. They're my favourite.
So when we first approached you, I think was it online that we put out a casting call for Black Daruma. Do you remember what was going through your head and you thought, oh, I like the premise of that, I'm going to come to an audition? Yeah, how did you first find out about the project?
Yes, I saw it online, and because the premise was so different, I immediately was sort of drawn to it, and I just thought the character was very suitable for me. I can remember reading the character description, and I thought I could do a really good job of this and put my own sort of spin on it. And I can remember thinking, even though it's not what the sort of show I'd normally do, because it was such a unique sort of idea of what you were doing with the filming, as in, are we allowed to say this, as in the doll being, the camera being in the doll, so from the perspective of the doll, it just seemed so different that I just really wanted to do it.
So even though you don't really like independent horror, you like the concept of Black Daruma, and that was enough to make you think, oh, I would love to play this character.
Yes.
And tell us then about the character of Darren and what that was like coming to play that particular character.
Oh, well, first of all, even though horror's not my favourite, as an actor, I'll do, it's like I'm selling my soul now, I'll do bloody anything. But no, as an actor, I'll do anything that looks appealing. What I liked about the Darren character, I like playing unhinged characters, and he's certainly unhinged. He's also, how can I say this, he's a bit of a prat. He's got a self-destructive streak, which I liked. And I also liked his relationship with Ryan, the main character. And the whole thing made me think I could really do it justice, because they're my favourite characters to play, people that are a bit crazy, not the full shilling. That's worrying that I enjoy playing those characters, but yeah, they're good to play.
A lot of people have mentioned that they particularly like those scenes in the park, and because the film has quite a claustrophobic vibe to it. And then when Ryan finally leaves to do his job interview, and Mr. Lucky kind of comes forward, and the doll enchants his way through the job interview and gets the job, he's on kind of like a real high at that point, and he meets this very charismatic or enigmatic Darren character who seems to be doing extraordinarily well from white goods. I know you originally thought white goods was drugs, but we were actually talking about his fridge freezers and washing machines.
Well, I wasn't sure. I thought, is white goods, a sneaky way of saying drugs, or is it actually freezers and fridges? So I wasn't sure. But yeah, that's a really good point. I think I don't know if claustrophobic's the right word, but I know what you mean. It did. I think from the first half of the film, a lot of it was in. It's like an escape, and it comes in halfway through. So you finally, from memory, this is, you see him out and about, sort of for the first time, on his own, well, with his doll. So I think I come in about halfway through, if I remember rightly.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, it was nice to sort of break it up a bit, and then come in at that stage.
It's interesting because, structurally, right in the screenplay, I felt that we needed to get out of the house. Around halfway, is often the point where the stakes get raised in a film, and there's no return. So, of course, we had to think about a way to do that, and putting in this stuff with Darren in the park, it was so unpredictable, and no one could quite tell where it was going to go, and it just descends into this kind of strange sort of uber masculine chaos. But what was interesting is at the test screening that we did, when we had no music, the colour grade wasn't finished, the sound wasn't fully finished, we showed the film, and a lot of people, I say a lot, quite a few, didn't get the scenes with Darren in the park, and they were confused. They're like, I'm not sure it belongs in the film, and what is that about and stuff. But when we started putting the music on and the whole film started coming together, some of those scenes are the ones that really, for us, are our favourite, but also they really stand out for a lot of people because there's a kind of a raw angst about them, an unpredictability about where this is going to go.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. They're very unpredictable. You don't know what's going to happen next. I think in that day we packed a lot in. We ended up running with hammers, weren't we, in a pond, in a park, getting high in a car.
Yeah.
So we did pack a lot in, and it was, as a viewer, you'd have no idea what's coming next. I mean, I won't spoil it too much, but there is a lot of angst as well, definitely. I remember the line about we don't belong here anymore, and there was lots of different sides to Darren that I was able to explore in that. So yeah, I appreciate that you liked those scenes as well. Cheers, and I'm glad they stayed in, obviously.
Yeah.
There's a feeling with Darren that he's got some kind of private joke going on in his head, that he's sort of one step removed and sort of almost laughing at himself or reality, and obviously that kind of fits the being high vibe. I mean, can you remember what your motivations were for Darren? Like, what was going through your head at the time when you were playing those scenes?
I think when I was doing it, how I interpreted it, I think at first Darren thought, who's this weirdo with a doll? But then he sort of thought to himself, oh, I like this guy, I can be a bit mischievous and play around with this guy. So I think part of it was taking advantage of him in a way, but using him to boost Darren's own shallow, sort of egotistical ways, I suppose. That's how I sort of interpreted him. I think he's got a lot of issues, and he sort of almost used Ryan as a tool to have a bit of fun. But after the drugs, I think he became a bit broken by the end of his weird day.
In terms of, like, we talked earlier about the connection between Darren and Ryan and modern man outside of the film, and some of the struggles that around identity and masculinity and stuff like that. What do you think it is about Darren or his relationship with Ryan that ordinary blokes will be able to relate to in the film? What will they be picking up on that's going on there?
I suppose ordinary blokes watching it would be able to sort of pick up on that sometimes your life can be a bit of a boring sort of existence, a white goods salesman, but everyone wants a bit of adventure, and Darren certainly does that.
When you first saw the film at the Spirit of Independence Festival, at the premiere, what was your reaction? Because you only came in the film halfway through to do your scenes. Obviously didn't know a lot about what we'd filmed before or after.
Yeah.
But what was going through your head?
So I was thinking, oh God, what if I'm terrible? What if I don't like it? So instead of taking friends to the premiere, I took my mum and dad, because I thought, it don't matter if I'm crap, if it's my mum and dad. But I can remember watching it and I was thinking, you know what, this is really good. And then I started to get nervous because I knew my bit was coming, and I thought, oh God, I hope I do it justice. And I can remember feeling a sense of relief that it was good, and I actually loved it. And I was so pleasantly surprised, not because I thought that it wouldn't be good, but that I'm always a pessimist with my own performance. So when it was finished and the reaction was good, like there were laughs at the right times, and I could tell that people enjoyed the scenes. So I was so relieved, and it was just a nice feeling to have sort of been part of such a unique film.
I mean, although we kind of say the film's a kind of, I don't know, loosely inspired found footage doll horror film, there's a lot of dark comedy in it.
Yeah.
And black humour. And you seem to pick up a lot on that. And there's a lot of that running through the character of Darren. You could really feel that. And it was obvious you were enjoying playing that character. And what I love about it is you're in this kind of depressing park environment. And it's just like a meal deal on a bench, like a kind of downer moment in the middle of the working week. But it becomes something so much more than that, because it's like Ryan has just sat next to somebody else who's at a certain juncture in his life. And you're both going through a lot of existential crisis as sort of men of a certain age or feeling a bit lost. And I think that whatever you channeled into that was really fun, and it just came across. But I can remember you, or at least Toby mentioned to me that you weren't even sure how it was being filmed when we were doing the scene on that bench. Tell us about your thing with.
I read how that it was being filmed in a unique way, but I wasn't actually fully sure. I expected there to be aspects of it from the doll, but also a camera crew there. So I thought, I don't like knowing where the camera is anyway, because I feel it takes away this, spontaneity. If I said that right,
Spontaneity, yeah.
Spontaneity. I hate that word. I feel it takes away that. And if you know where the camera is, I'd rather not know. But then I can remember thinking, where is the bloody camera? I didn't realise it was in the doll, so that was actually all real at that point. That was strange when I realised that it was there. I was glad I didn't know, actually.
Didn't you think it was in the trees at one point? And did you
Yeah,
say to Toby,
thought,
where is there a camera in the trees or something? And
well,
Toby said, no, it's right here.
I thought, well, where's the bloody camera crew? I was looking around. I thought, I thought there must be a cameraman hid in a tree somewhere. But I thought, I don't want to look too stupid, because that would be very hard. So I thought, I'll just not say anything. But in the end, it was bugging me. So I thought, where is this bloody camera crew? Because I thought, it was, like I said, I thought it was partly done like that, but partly there'd be a camera crew. I didn't think the whole film was like that. So yeah, so I was surprised.
That was great. I mean, we couldn't have planned that any better.
And can you remember as well, there was some bloke, to add to my stress, there was some bloke making a rocket at the back of the trees. Didn't he do some
It was cutting grass,
drilling?
wasn't it?
Or,
Yeah.
Oh, that was it, lawn mowing.
Yeah.
I think it was drilling as well. And I went off and asked him if he could quiet it down. Yeah. So this is more important than your bloody garden.
Yeah, when we spoke with Richard, played Ryan, he told the story, and it went on for about 10 minutes.
Oh, that same story?
Well, with you trying to get the attention of this council worker who was trimming the hedge or something. You go, mate,
we're trying to film.
mate, look, mate.
We're trying to make the magic happen. You're ruining it.
Went
with
on and
selfish
on.
gardening. Yeah.
There was definitely a kind of a magic in the air with the film, and we never really understood entirely what it was, and we had an idea what it was, but then it felt very flat when we did a test screening, and people didn't really get it, and the screening wasn't set up very well and all the rest of it at the time, and we thought, oh, maybe this is going to be too much for people to handle, because it's slow, without all the convention of normal editing and things like that. And then we came up with an idea to, based on some of the feedback, to put music to it. So we had this kind of homemade trance created by the composer, Benedict, that progressed throughout your scenes and finally ends with this kind of moment under the underpass before you go into the bit on the bridge, have the discussion about masculinity, with you kind of holding, I think, the hammer up.
Oh,
now,
yeah.
That, I don't know if you agree with this, Toby, but in my mind it was a little bit of a nod to Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Well,
right at the end. Now that might be a reference I don't know if you would get, because I don't know if you're into horror movies.
Someone else said that when I told them about it, and I've never actually seen that film, so yeah, that was just pure
I can't remember
accident.
directing that actual moment. I think, was it something that Ross actually, you just did?
I can't remember what
But
we
it was
would
a
have
great
said,
moment.
actually. When you running through that tunnel with that
The bit
hammer.
where I spun around with it?
Yeah.
No, I just did it, but then, yeah.
That's brilliant, because you did it in a way that it's like it. Even without you knowing, it's like referenced a really iconic moment in in horror,
I've not seen that
in
film.
horror history. So that it was great. I remember there was a passerby walked past while we were filming on the bridge, and you were holding the hammer, and of course you're in this suit, and he's like,
I remember that.
and he mentioned something like, men in suits holding hammers. This isn't going to end well.
I remember that. It's not a good look to be wandering around in public in a suit holding a hammer.
Yeah.
Didn't a policeman come over as well?
The police actually came while we were filming.
Over,
Yeah, you're right. While we were filming, the police came. What did they say?
They said that it was a known area for drug dealers, so they have undercover policemen there a lot.
Oh, right, yeah.
Didn't he say, "Can I ask what you're doing with a hammer?" And I said, "Oh, we're filming." And then he just explained, when he realised that I wasn't just
a nutter.
wandering around in a suit, wielding a hammer. I think he let us carry on.
Yeah.
Do you remember all that?
Yeah, I do. And he said, and I said, oh, we're shooting a horror movie, and he went, oh, that's fine. It's just as
long as it's not drugs.
drug dealing.
It'd be a strange drug dealer though, wandering around with a hammer. I think he probably just thought it was a local bloody nutcase.
It's funny because that is the character you're playing is a guy that probably should be arrested. Yeah.
So you've worked on other films. You've been involved in other independent films, but you've also done. Have you done theatre? You say you've done adverts.
Yeah, I've done numerous commercials. I've done theatre, films, pilots, sitcoms. Yeah.
What would be your advice to your kind of actors, coming up and trying to get a break, and what have you found helpful in your life as an actor?
Well, I would say you have to develop a thick skin. There's a lot. This is all actors that aren't. When you become a name, obviously it becomes easier. But there's a lot of rejection, so you have to develop a thick skin. And also the thing that I find most difficult is the fact that when I first got into acting, social media and the internet wasn't as big a deal. So it's quite strange now because you'll film something and then you'll forget about it, and then suddenly you'll think, why have I got 15 messages on my phone? And it's suddenly out there. And there's so many platforms now, and you'll get quite a lot of views. There's YouTube, Vimeo, TikTok, Facebook, obviously the channels, Prime, etc. So it can lead to a lot of anxiety when you're not used to it, because you don't know what the reaction's going to be. It's suddenly everywhere. So I think develop a thick skin, be prepared for that. But then none of that really matters. If you genuinely are passionate about it and see it as your calling, then just go for it anyway and try and forget all that. Because I think if you actually enjoy it, it's worthwhile. Don't care what other people say, and just sort of go for it whilst being aware to have a very thick skin.
Well, I very much hope that the film, brings you attention.
Cheers.
Whether good or bad, it's all helpful, I guess, isn't it?
Yeah.
You certainly had a good write-up, from one of the reviewers. I think it was for Exposed magazine.
There was a couple actually.
Yeah, there's a couple of them, and they particularly liked your scenes. So
Yeah.
definitely
Thanks.
resonated with
I
people.
feel like if we made a Black Daruma 2, Red Daruma, that we would definitely be seeing more of Darren in that.
Well, that was the other interesting thing with that. So I can't remember who it was. Someone said, "Is Darren actually really there, or has Ryan just imagined it?" Or I don't think that is the case, but that's an interesting
because I think
take on it.
he does represent almost like Ryan's alter ego.
Yeah.
But
he is there. Yeah, it's just in my head. He's there,
but it makes
interesting.
It makes sense. Yeah, to think that about him. He's a mirror, the dark mirror version of Ryan. What Ryan really wants to come out as. Yeah.
But he's kind of what I guess he's kind of what Ryan can't be at that stage, which is the hard-working man who's doing quite well.
Which is a white goods salesman.
Which is a white goods salesman, and he can't kind of quite get himself there.
No.
But at the same time, Darren looks at Ryan like he's a kind of shaman or something who's like one level up and has got the answers. And it's a fantastically weird dynamic between these two guys,
Yeah, so I'll look forward to Black Daruma 2 then.
Yeah.
I'll get my Ryan head on again. Ryan, what am I like? Darren.
Yeah.
I'm thinking I am his alter ego now. I'm getting the name wrong.
Fantastic. Well, thanks so much for coming in.
No problem.
It's been great to, talk about Darren and
I've
reminisce
enjoyed
on
it.
a very strange experience of making Black Daruma.
I was thinking it might be questions like, what's your favourite colour and what's your favourite food? I was like half preparing for those type of things. Sometimes they'll do that before
Oh right,
the main
yeah.
questions.
To get warmed up, yeah.
So I'm actually glad. No one wants to know what my favourite colour is.
Nice.
It's red, by the way.
Sequel.
Sequel. But yes, I've enjoyed it. Thanks a lot, guys.